So we always begin with a Maxim um, from Chateau Hartiste, and there were about 200, and we're covering one of the later ones, 102, um, today. And Maxim number 102: nothing interesting would happen in a woman's life if she didn't have a man making it happen. And this is a fact. Women are passive, men are active. We go out into the world and penetrate it and make things happen and create action. And women do not. As like Bunny says, men work on have to. We have to go forward or nothing gets done and we all go hungry and we starve to death. Women are more in the want to mode, that they do things that they want to. And that is the deciding factor, is how they feel about something, whereas men are conditioned to simply do things because they need to be done. Otherwise, they won't be done at all. So women generally, especially in today's modern, um, like this one guy says, this gay, weak society that we live in today, and it really, really is when you come down to it. Um, Men still have to make things happen, and women can lead very boring lives that really centers around charging her phone, eating hot chips, lying, getting abortions. Those are girl hobbies, whereas men have to like go forth and work, whether it be for minimum wage or subsistence allowance, or they are paid by the government to carry out duties. But you have to earn your day. You have to earn your keep every day. Whereas women are supported, and don't have to actually do it. I mean, even when we're raising kids, like boys, we kind of like, you're on your own, let's go. And you kick them out of the nest. With girls, you pretty much, they're allowed to stay in the nest until you pass them off to their husband. So, the rules are literally different, and it's for a reason. But nothing interesting would happen in a woman's life. And that's what I try to convey to these guys. They're like, oh, I don't know if I want to bother her or not. You're not bothering any girl, because she's just waiting for the next text. She's just waiting for the next hinge match. She's just waiting for the next job that her boss is going to call and tell her to do, or errand to run, or, class to go to, where she's like getting her degree so she can hurry up and get married and she can quit working. I mean, women live incredibly boring lives. And I've done a number of tweets where I just basically walk you through a girl's day, and it looks nothing like a man's day, where you have to kick the covers off and hit the ground running. But nothing really does happen. That's why when I tell guys, you saying hi, you approaching her, you getting into her life is the most interesting thing that will happen for her in that day. I mean, you're the most interesting thing she's seen, because otherwise nothing happens. They are not living our life, but in a woman's body. They're like, can't go out after dark. They can barely drive. They get lost in their own neighborhood. They can't be alone. They can't even go to the bathroom alone in a restaurant. I mean, you got to think about all these things, how they do things differently, that leads to no independence. And that's okay, because they're interdependent. They're dependent upon us. And that's the real deal. So you have to realize that women, literally, without you acting upon them, nothing happens. So again, you have to approach them. You have to ask them out. If you decide to wait, you have to actually like have a plan. If you wait for a girl to take action, you'll be waiting forever and you'll become very frustrated. And I've even had guys that come to me, they like, I worked on myself, and I developed this body and I make good money, but why don't girls just come up to me? Well, because they're literally not designed for that. They are trained from birth to not approach men. It's a scary, weird, horrible. It's just not. I mean, even like Bumble, the basis of Bumble was the woman takes the first action, and the first action would be, And this would allow them to like only match with the men that they want to match with, or speak with the men that they want to speak with first. But they have such a deeply ingrained aversion to it. All you get is like hi or hey or hey. I mean, you really get hey most of the time, or hi. And then you start carrying the conversation like always, which is fine. That's our job. But they actually have done away with it, or that's the plan to get rid of that, because it's so prohibitive to the app working properly. Because women are passive; they are to be acted upon. They are receivers, again, just like they're designed. Everything about them is passive and for receiving. Men are active and are out penetrating the world, and women. So that's what you have to keep that in mind anytime, especially, nowadays that there's been a period where guys kind of start pulling back. But the guys that didn't pull back did great, and they always will do well. You have to act to make things happen. Women are simply designed to be acted upon. And literally nothing. I mean, you got to think about most girls' hobbies. Their hobbies are like scrolling social media, parking badly, lying, talking to their girl, juggling men, hiding one man from another. These are their hobbies. Whereas, like you're like training, or, developing your musical skills, or, learning computers. I mean, or even like crypto, which you don't want to ever talk about because it's so terrible and boring. But, these are hobbies that are somewhat dynamic and interesting to men, and are actually interesting over time. But most girls don't have hobbies the way that we think of as hobbies or pastimes. And that's, I mean, and if they do go, let's say like they go to a sports event, they go to a baseball game, or they go to a horse race, if they go without a man, they go to meet men, because that's women's hobbies. So, I mean, you could really say that, I mean, men are women's hobbies. And from like when they're little girls, the first thing, you go to a party and the girls are gossiping about the boys, and talking to the boys' moms, and talking to their moms about the boys, and who's seeing who, or, who's going with who, and who's the cutest, and all this. And the boys are just doing their thing. They're just, fighting, lying, cussing, just, but the girls are not on their radar at all, not till they're like 15, 16, and then kind of intermittently. But from girls from like 6, 7, it's all boys. So just know that they have to be acted upon. I mean, when men are women's hobby, but women are not necessarily. You have to actually consciously, because you have so many balls in the air, focus in. And if you want something to happen, you have to make it happen. And that's the real deal. Remember, nothing interesting would happen in a woman's life if she didn't have a man making it happen. And that's the real deal. If you guys have a